As the sun dips low beneath the horizon, painting the sky with shades of gold and crimson, my mind drifts to you. It's almost as if nature is speaking directly to me, whispering the memory of your laughter into the fading light. Each sunset is a reminder of the warmth you once brought into my life, like the gentle glow that stretches across the evening sky. The horizon becomes a bridge between the past and present, and every sunset is like a reunion with your spirit, a brief, bittersweet moment of connection. The colors that blend and mix in the sky mimic the way you touch every part of me, effortlessly weaving yourself into the fabric of my soul. You were once my evening, my calm after the chaos of the day, a steady presence in the shifting tides of life. Now, as the sun sets each day, it is as if it brings back pieces of you that I keep tucked away in my heart, scattered in the colors of twilight. Every sunset seems to take on a personal meaning now, as if each one is tailored to echo the times we spent together. The sky begins as a pale blue, stretching endlessly before it is touched by the first kiss of orange. And in that moment, I see your smile. You always had a way of lighting up even the darkest corners of my world, just like the sun lights up the sky before it sets. There is a soft melancholy in the fading light, a quiet sadness that feels like it carries all the words we never spoke. As the sky deepens into rich purples and blues, I think of how you were never fully mine, and yet you were. Like the fleeting moments before the sun vanishes completely, you were both here and not here, present and absent, leaving me in a state of longing that has only grown with time. Each sunset is an unfinished conversation, one that will never be concluded, yet I find solace in it, just as I found solace in you. In the delicate fading of the light, I sense the beauty of impermanence, and I can't help but reflect on our fleeting moments together. The sun, despite its brilliant display of colors, must eventually dip below the horizon, leaving behind only the memory of its presence. And like the sun, you left a mark on my heart, an imprint that will not fade, even as time continues its march forward. I think about how sunsets always seem to evoke a sense of nostalgia, a longing for something just out of reach. Perhaps it's because they symbolize the end of something beautiful, much like how our time together felt too short, too precious. The twilight sky reminds me that beauty doesn't last forever, but it doesn't need to. The way the colors in the sky melt together, each one contributing to the whole, is like the way you fit into my life. Irreplaceable, unique, and impossible to forget. As the stars begin to twinkle in the darkening sky, I find myself wishing you were here to share it with me, even if just for one more moment. Sunsets have a way of slowing time, of making everything seem quieter, more reflective. In those quiet moments, when the world around me seems to be holding its breath, I find myself thinking of you. It's as if the setting sun brings with it a moment of clarity, a space to think and remember without distraction. I remember the warmth of your hand in mine, how we once walked beneath the sky together, our feet leaving footprints on the earth, just like the fading rays of sunlight leaving their mark in the sky. Those days feel distant now, like a dream that slips away as soon as I wake, but the sunsets keep pulling me back to them. I wonder if you ever feel the same way when you watch the sunset, whether it reminds you of the moments we shared, or if the memory has faded like the daylight, becoming more distant with each passing day. I hope it lingers in your heart as it does in mine, like the final glow of the setting sun that refuses to completely vanish. As the sky darkens and the first stars begin to appear, I'm reminded of the night we spent together, talking about everything and nothing all at once. We stayed up late, watching the world around us quiet down, as if the stars themselves were listening to our words. The sunset marks the end of one chapter and the beginning of another, just as our time together ended before it truly began. I often wonder what might have been if we had more time, if we had stayed in that golden moment where everything seemed perfect, where the light of the sun was still strong and the promise of a future felt possible. But just as the night sky takes over after the sun sets, the reality of life moves forward, pulling us in different directions. I try to hold on to the warmth of the moment, to capture it before it slips away entirely. And in the quiet space between night and day, I find myself yearning for the days when we were together, when the sun still rose and set in our shared world. There is something about the sunset that makes me feel like I am caught between two worlds, the world of what was and the world of what could have been. It's as if for a brief moment the line between the past and the present blurs, and I can almost feel you beside me again, your presence like the warmth of the sun on my skin. But then, as quickly as that feeling arrives, it fades, like the sun dipping below the horizon. Yet, even in its departure, there is beauty. The sky that once held the sun now holds the promise of the stars, and so too does my heart, holding the memory of you. Even though you are no longer here, you remain a part of me, like the fading light that refuses to disappear entirely. And just as the stars emerge in the vast dark sky, I carry you within me, your memory shining softly in the quiet moments when I am left alone with my thoughts. As each sunset passes, I realize that while you may no longer be by my side, your influence still lingers in everything I do. The way I view the world, the way I see beauty, it all traces back to the time we spent together. Even though the sunset may signal the end of the day, it also signals the possibility of tomorrow. And in that quiet space where night begins to take hold, I find hope. I find the strength to move forward, knowing that, like the sun that will rise again, I will find new moments of light in my life. Yet, no matter where I go, no matter how far I travel, the sunsets will always remind me of you. They will always carry your memory, like a quiet companion that walks beside me, even in the darkest of time. The colors in the sky may change, but the essence of what we had will remain, a part of me forever. Every sunset brings with it a sense of closure, a moment to reflect on the day that has passed and the life that continues. It's like standing on the edge of a cliff, looking back on the journey that has brought me to this point and seeing you standing beside me. You are no longer here physically, but in every sunset you remain in my heart. It's a bittersweet feeling, knowing that the moments we shared are gone, yet the memory of you is immortalized in the beauty of the world around me. The sunset reminds me that everything is transient, that nothing lasts forever, but also that nothing truly disappears. The love, the connection, the feeling of being alive together, they all remain in the soft glow of the sunset, in the quiet whisper of the wind, in the stars that slowly take their place in the sky. They remain as a part of me, just as you remain. And so, as I stand here, watching the sunset for the 1000th time, I realize that the sunsets will never stop reminding me of you. With every day that ends, I feel the echoes of our time together in the colors that paint the sky. In the silence that follows, I hear your voice, the way you used to speak with such passion, with such fire. Those moments are gone now, but they live on in the sunsets, in the way the world continues to turn. And while I may never be able to relive those days, I can find comfort in the knowledge that you are with me, in every sunset, in every dawn. The world keeps spinning, the sun keeps setting, but you, my love, are eternal in the quiet moments when the sky is painted with the colors of your memory.